Okay, good day everyone. We will be discussing about the warehousing and its interface in customs administration and its legal foundation. Okay, so our objectives, you will be able to, at the end of this topic, you will be able to explain why warehousing is a legal privilege regulated by a state, not an unrestricted business right. And also, you will be able to identify the legal hierarchy that governs customs warehousing from statute to court level order. You will be able also to cite the core provisions of the CMTA or the RA 10863 on customs banded warehouses, sections 801 to 813. And also, you will be able to describe how Customs Administrative Order 13-2019 implements these statutory provisions. And lastly, you will be able to distinguish administrative, civil, and criminal consequences of non-compliance under the law. Okay, so this slide sets the foundational role of the Customs Administration. It's operating a customs bonded warehouse is a privilege na granted by a government, and it is not an automatic right of any business owner. While any entrepreneur has the basic right para mag-open ng standard commercial warehouse to store the local goods, storing the uncleared imported goods kung si government taxes have not yet been paid ay nagre-require siya ng special license na tinatawag natin na authority to operate, right? So a bonded warehouse operates on a conditional privilege granted by the state, and it is not an inherent business right. Okay, so for example, or in simple terms, the government lets you hold imported goods without paying taxes upfront, but only if you follow every single rule they set, because the state revenue is involved, and this status is a conditional privilege. So if the conditions are violated, then the privilege is revoked. Okay. Next, the Bureau of Customs retains full legal control over goods and premises for as long as goods remain in customs custody. So in simple terms, even though the warehouse belongs to a private company, the BOC acts as the legal custodian of that building and everything inside of that building until all duties are paid or the goods are legally exported. Next, every warehousing activity is anchored in specific legal provisions, not merely operational convenience. So, a warehouse operator cannot change processes just because it makes business faster or cheaper, right? So, every single movement or even transfer, manufacturing process, or waste disposal inside that CBW must follow specific sections of the law. Okay? And lastly, the customs officers must be able to cite the legal basis for every control measure they impose. While the customs has strong authority over the bonded warehouses, the officers cannot act arbitrarily or cannot impose random demands dun sa mga warehouse operators. Okay? So every inspection, every audit, or restriction imposed by an officer must be backed up, no, by a special section of the law or administrative order. Okay, so in law and in customs administration, a hierarchy means that roles are structured like a pyramid. So the high level laws give authority to the low level rules. Okay, so the golden rule here is that the lower level order can never contradict or mag-override doon sa higher level na batas. Okay? So if a port level rule violates the CMTA or the Constitution, that port rule is invalid. So first is the 1987 Philippine Constitution. So the rule here is this is the ultimate legal authority of the land, and it grants the government two critical powers. First is the taxation power, power of taxations, and the police power. Okay, so the taxing power granted by this law, the 1987 Constitution, is that the state's authority to levy the duties and taxes on imported goods. And as to the police power, the government's authority to regulate uh, businesses and enforce border controls para ma-protect yung public safety, health, and national revenue. Next is the RA 10863 or the Customs Modernization and Tariff Act. So the primary statute or national law passed by Congress and governing all the customs processes, including those bonded warehousing. So what it does, it it establishes the core statutory mandates such as yung pagke-create ng CBWs and also the establishing storage limits. So, for example, meron lang 1 year rule, no, ng pag-store doon sa loob ng CBW. And also, included dyan yung setting penalties for those smugglers o yung magtatangka na mag-smuggling. Next, implementing rules and regulations or the IRR, no? The role here is that comprehensive guidelines issued by executive agencies like, let's say, Department of Finance and the Bureau of Customs that flesh out yung broad provisions na ng CMTA. And what it does, no, the laws written by Congress are often high level. So yung IRR, yung nagbi-bridge ng gap between sa legislative policy and yung practical implementation. Next is the Customs Administrative and Memorandum Orders or yung CAO or CMO. So this is a policy issuances from the Department of Finance and Commissioner of Customs uh, that operationalize yung customs laws on a day-to-day level. Okay, so as to the CAO, this is a broad administrative policy rules na pinirmahan ng Secretary of Finance and also the Commissioner. And as to the CMO, this is a detailed operational instructions issued by the Commissioner of Customs personnel and trade stakeholders. Okay, so next is the district or port level orders. So this is a local directives or circulars and even operational guidelines issued by individual district collectors at a specific port of entry. So it adapts the general administrative rules para mag-fit doon sa specific operational workflow and even layout or schedules ng mga local port. Okay, so this is just an overview of our topic. So the Republic Act number 10863, also known as the CMTA or Customs Modernization and Tariff Act, was signed into law on May 30, 2016. It completely replaced the old Tariff and Customs Code of the Philippines or the TCCP to update and streamline yung Philippine customs practices for modern global commerce. So as to the background, replacing the old TCCP. So the old TCCP was created decades ago when trade was paper heavy pa, manual pa, and slow. Right? So the CNTA replaced it to transition the country into digitalized and also paperless and efficient trading hub. And the section 101, the core declaration of policy. So the CMTA balances two major goals that often conflicts, the trade enforcement and the trade facilitation. Okay, so to protect government revenue and prevent fraud, this section ensures every peso of duty and tax owed on imported goods is collected and also stopping the illegal smuggling. And to ensure fair and transparent administration, it standardizes the rules so that lahat ng importers play by the same clear set of that law. Okay? And as to the facilitate trade, so it reduces port congestion and processing delays so that legitimate businesses can move goods faster. And lastly, uh, the third is the organized structure. No, so the concept here, the law acts as a single comprehensive rulebook broken down logically into titles and chapters covering every phase of trade. And alignment with international standards, which is the RKC or the Revised Kyoto Convention. So the World Customs Organization or the WCO established the RKC as the global blueprint for modern, efficient customs procedures that aligning the RKC means that the Philippine customs practices match the international standards. Okay, so the global principles adopted included dyan is yung risk management over the 100% physical inspection, and also yung electronic lodgement and clearance, and lastly yung post-clearance audit systems. Next, so this chapter governs the establishment and operations of the CBWs, right? So a CBW is a secured government approved facility where imported goods can be stored, processed, or manufactured without paying duties and taxes upfront. So how it works in trading and importation. So let's say if a local manufacturing company nag-imports ng raw materials like fabric or electronic components or even yung mga chemical ingredients, no, to turn into a finished product for export, paying the import taxes immediately would hurt their financial cash flow. So by placing those imported materials into a CBW under the sections 801 to 813, the duty and tax payments are deferred or uh, in hold, no? On hold na yung kanilang duties and taxes for that specific importation. So if the final products are exported to another country, then the business avoids paying those import duties entirely. So mawi-waive na yung kanilang duties and taxes. Okay, and as to section 301, customs control refers to the legal authority of the BOC to supervise, inspect, and track all the imported and exported goods entering or leaving the Philippines. So how it connects to warehousing, no, because that the government is letting importers keep the raw materials tax-free inside a bonded warehouse. So the customs needs total visibility over those goods and nandoon sa bonded warehouse. So under the section 301, CBOC tinatrack niya yung every container na pumapasok dun sa warehouse and minomonitor niya yung raw materials na ginagamit during manufacturing and also verifies the finished goods leaving the facility. Okay, so an importer cannot move, cannot alter, or even transfer goods without official customs authorization. And Section 303, Police Authority. So the police authority grants authorized customs officers actual law enforcement powers such as yung searching, seizing, or arresting and patrolling, specifically within those custom zones and premises. So how it connects to warehousing? The customs warehouses are legally classified as customs premises. If merong unscrupulous business na sumusubok to illegally sneak yung mga untaxed goods out of that warehouse and ibenta yon into local markets, no? Or smuggling yun, or pwede natin considered as smuggling or tax evasion. The Section 303 gives the customs officers full legal power para mag-search ng mga trucks, no? Or even mag-confiscate ng mga illegal or unmanifested cargo and arrest yung mga offenders on the spot without needing standard police warrants within those zones. Okay, so as to the establishment authority, who sets it up? No, so the district collector designates and establishes customs bonded warehouses. Who approves it? The approval must come directly from the Commissioner of Customs. When the local port business and trading volume require them. And as to the ongoing supervision, who maintains control? The all the CBWs remain under the continuing supervision of the district collector. So what it means, no? Establishing a warehouse is not a one-time event. So si Customs retains active oversight over its daily operation. So hindi lang basta pinayagan ka na mag-open ng CBW, okay na yon. So meron pang continuing supervision of the district collector. Okay, and protection and compliance. So what can the district collector do? So they have the authority to impose conditions on warehouse operations. Why? Because it is to safeguard government revenue, no? To prevent the tax evasion and also to ensure the physical security of the stored imported goods. Okay, so Section 802 divides CBW into two main legal categories, which is the manufacturing CBWs and non-manufacturing CBWs. So the specific classification determines the permitted operational activities, the conditions of operation, and how imported goods inside the warehouse must be handled. Okay, so as to the manufacturing CBWs, this is a facilities licensed to import, receive, and store a raw materials, components, or even accessories or packaging materials to process or assemble them into a finished products and na intended siya for export. Okay, so under that manufacturing CBW, we have MCBW, which is the Miscellaneous Customs Bonded Warehouse. So this is a warehouse operated by an individual manufacturing enterprise para mag-store ng mga raw materials na ginagamit in producing its own export products. Okay? And we also have CCBW, which is the Customs Common Bonded Warehouse. This is a shared warehouse facility established to receive, store, and distribute the raw materials to multiple small to medium exporter clients. And lastly, we have the industry specific bonded warehouse. This is a warehouse established to service a specific industry sector, katulad ng garments, electronics, or even motor vehicle assembly, and its accredited suppliers or exporters. And on non-manufacturing CBW, this is a facilities used primarily for the storage or even consolidation or distribution of the imported goods nang hindi dumadaan no in any manufacturing or transformation process. Okay, so we have under the non-manufacturing CBW, we have public bonded warehouse. It is a warehouse licensed to store imported goods for the general public, where various importers pay rent or pay storage fees while waiting to clear customs and pay duties. We also have private bonded warehouse. This is a warehouse operated by a specific company solely to store imported goods intended for its own account or business operation. From the word itself, it is a private warehouse. Okay? And other customs facilities, it is authorized storage facilities, and also container yards or depots recognized by customs to meet a specific economic or trade logistics requirements. Okay, as to the section 804, this is all about the application process. Where to file the application, the importers or the logistics companies wanting to operate a CBW or CFW must file their written application directly with the district collector of that port where the facility will be physically located. And what gets checked? So the district collector inspects the site and also evaluating its exact location, the structural security, the capacity of that facility, and suitability before approving the application. And as to section 805, it's about compliance and operational requirements. So the warehouse operators must strictly follow the BOC rules regarding the security, suitability, and stock keeping and accounting. So as to the security, ensuring yung mga physical barriers, yung mga alarms, or even the CCTV systems to prevent theft or illegal removal of untaxed goods. Okay, and suitability, it ensures that the premises are proper for storing or processing specific cargo. Okay, and lastly, stock keeping and accounting. This is maintaining the accurate inventory records, books, and tracking systems for all stored goods. And lastly, Section 805 is all about the legal responsibility and liability. Who is responsible? So, this is a legal responsibility for the stored goods lies 100% on the operator as long as those goods remain inside that facility. Okay, so government immunity. So the government and the Bureau of Customs, do not assume legal responsibility for the safekeeping of that goods inside the private customs warehouses. And for the penalty for loss, if stored goods are lost or stolen due to the operator's gross negligence or willful misconduct, the operator becomes directly liable para bayaran lahat ng unpaid import duties and taxes on those missing items. Right, so for the section 806, continuing customs control over CBW and CFWs, this is an active supervision. So the Bureau of Customs exercises continuous control, direction, and management over all CBWs and CFWs. So the scope or this control extends directly to the actual goods stored inside of that warehouse, utilizing the Bureau's overarching authority over customs premises. And the Bureau explicitly does not assume legal responsibility or liability for any loss or damage ng mga goods na nakastore doon for safekeeping inside any customs warehouses or even yard or facility. And as to Section 807, is about discontinuance and closure of the CBW and CFW. So no, when it happens, so the operation of the CBW or CFW can be discontinued either when conditions warrant it or as determined by the district collector or upon a formal written request from the warehouse operator. So what is the causes for closure? Foreclosure or discontinuance can happen for cause such as non-compliance with legal regulations, security violations, or even failure to properly account for stored stock. And as to the removal of goods, if a warehouse is shut down, any remaining goods inside that must be cleared and removed at the risk and expense ng operator. Okay, and no tax discharge. So closing and discontinuing a warehouse does not cancel or discharge any unpaid duties and taxes or fees owed on the dutiable goods. Okay, and as to Section 808, warehousing bond, what it means? When goods are declared for entry into CBW, the district collector requires the importer to post a sufficient security or bond. The purpose of it, this bond acts as a financial guarantee equivalent to the computed duties, taxes, and other charges. It ensures that the importer will either re-export the goods, withdraw them legally within the allowed time frame, or pay the required taxes. And as to the Section 809, this is about lawful permit required. So what it means, the the imported goods cannot just be pulled out of a CBW casually. Okay? So kailangan ng formal withdrawal permit and any other required supporting documents na dapat i-file and ma-approve muna. Okay? Bago mag-pulled out ng imported goods doon sa loob ng CBW. Okay? Who can withdraw? The withdrawal must be handled directly by the CBW operator or their duly authorized representative. Okay, so moving goods without the authorization violates both the warehousing bond and the law. And also, duties settled first. So, depending on where the goods are heading, kung consumption locally, kung para siya sa transit or i-export siya. Okay, so withdrawal procedures guarantee that the duties and taxes are properly settled or accounted for before the goods enter local commerce. Okay, so Section 811, limited storage period. So there are time limits. So the goods entered for the warehousing can only remain inside the CBW within a specific time frame set by law and regulations. So typically, it is a maximum period of 1 year with specific provisions or extensions for those manufacturing goods meant for export. And for the abandonment, kung yung goods are not withdrawn after the expiration no prescribed storage period na yon. So let's say yung maximum is 1 year. So kung hindi pa rin siya na-withdraw nang lumagpas na siya ng 1 year, so they are legally deemed abandoned and subject to government disposition. And the conditional duty exemption, section 812, goods properly entered and stored in a CBW are exempt from duties and taxes during the allowed storage period. Okay? So, kailan lang ito matitrigger? So, this exemption remains active unless yung goods ay withdraw for local consumption or even exportation or transit. So, if withdrawn for the domestic local sale, applicable yung applicable taxes and duties must be fully paid. Okay? And mandatory record keeping, this is section 813. So the Bureau of Customs, alongside with the warehouse operator, must maintain strict books and accounts. And the operators are legally mandated to keep accurate, updated records tracking all goods na ni-receive, in-stored, and withdraw from the facility para ma-ensure na merong total transparency and inventory control. Okay, as to the legal foundation and scope, so it implements the COW 13-2019, serves as the operational rulebook, implementing the sections 301, 303, and 801 to 813 of the CMTA in relation to the section 204. So it governs the overall establishment, operation, supervision, and control of all the CBWs in the Philippines. Okay, so the core pillar of the COW 13-2019, as to the guidelines for establishment and supervision, again, it outlines the legal steps, the requirements, and ongoing monitoring parameters handled by the Bureau of Customs for all the CBWs. And it clearly defines what the CBW operators are legally allowed to do, alongside their heavy responsibilities regarding the inventory, safety, and tax compliance. So that is about the rights and the obligations of the CBW operator. And also, it establishes fixed penalties, fines, or sanctions for erring operators who violate the warehousing rules, mismanage inventory, and breach their bonds. And lastly, it introduces a modernized, technology-driven system to track, audit, and manage CBW operations digitally. So as to the prerequisite for operation, the warehousing bond is a surety bond required before a CBW may legally operate. Okay, and also it guarantees that all applicable duties, taxes, and charges will be paid on goods withdrawn for local consumption. And it acts as the government's primary financial protection against doon sa loss of revenue if goods are mishandled, lost, or illegally diverted. And the specific bond amount and conditions are set according to established customs regulations. Okay, as to suspension or revocation, what it means. So the Bureau of Customs can suspend or fully revoke a facility's warehousing license or privilege to operate if rules are broken. And as to the discontinuance or closure, so a CBW can face physical shutdown and formal closure pursuant to Section 807 of the CMTA due to major violations or regulatory non-compliance. And as to the denial of future applications, so erring operators or entities can be barred or rejected from filing future applications to operate a bonded facility at any port. And lastly, for the non-conviction required, so this means that these administrative sanctions are regulatory and can be imposed independently by the Bureau of Customs even without a criminal case or a criminal conviction. Okay. As to Section 1401, unlawful importation or exportation, it covers directly smuggling as well as the technical smuggling such as the misdeclaration, misclassification, or undervaluation. Okay, so penalties here are severe and scale depending on the total value of the goods, ranging from fines and imprisonments to life imprisonment for high value or large scale violations. As to Section 1403, unlawful entry into a warehouse. So the scope of this penalizes unauthorized entry into a customs warehouse as well as breaking locks, tampering with seals, or illegally removing goods without proper authority. Okay, so removing or aiding in the removal of goods without customs approval is penalized under the heavy criminal penalties of the Section 1401, treating it essentially as illegal smuggling. Okay, and as to Section 1422, unauthorized withdrawal from a CBW, it focuses on the civil monetary penalty na ini-impose kung yung goods ay withdraw from the CBW without official permits or payment ng duties. Okay? So it triggers an immediate 50% surcharge on top of the original unpaid duties and taxes. And if the delinquency continues unpaid beyond 1 year, additional interest and penalty rates increase even further. Okay? And for the goods declaration for warehousing, so this is a official customs entry lodgement or filed with the Bureau of Customs when imported goods are declared to be placed under the bond in a warehouse rather than released immediately into the local market. Next is the CBW versus CFW. So CBW, it is a customs bonded warehouse, a facility authorized by the Bureau of Customs to store, process, or manufacture the imported goods like yung mga raw materials without paying the duties and taxes upfront. Okay, provided that they are bound for export or eventual tax paid release. While the CFW or the Customs Facility and Warehouse, this is a facility established and authorized by the customs for the temporary storage lang ng mga imported goods pending clearance or even examination or release. So for example, yung mga container yards, airport cargo terminals, off-dock depots, and so. So the key difference of these two, the CBW is primarily designed para sa manufacturing or long-term tax-deferred storage, while the CFW is designed for temporary logistics, inspections, and port handling before goods clear customs. Next is surcharge. This is an additional financial penalty or fee na ini-impose on top of the unpaid duties and taxes or when goods are unlawfully or improperly withdrawn without clearance. Forfeiture. So this means that this is a legal procedure through which that the state permanently seizes ownership ng imported goods and even property or vehicles involved doon sa severe violations ng customs laws. Okay, so this slide illustrates how a complete understanding of the customs warehousing requires connecting three core elements. First is the foundation or the why. So this explains the fundamental purpose ng customs warehousing. So it establishes why these facilities exist, mainly to allow businesses to defer or avoid duties on imported goods, especially raw materials for export, or even boosting international trade and cash flow. Next is the practice or the how, right? It focuses on practical day to day operations on the warehouse floor. And it covers the real world procedures such as receiving cargo, stock keeping, managing inventory, processing raw materials into a finished goods, and organizing withdrawals under the bond. Okay, and lastly, the legal foundations, which is the authority, it provides the statutory and regulatory backing behind every physical action and document. So it connects operations directly to legal mandates like the CMTA, specifically Section 801 to 813 for the warehousing, Section 301 for control, Section 303 for police authority, and administrative issuances like the CAO 13-2019. So every permit, log entry, and audit is rooted into the law. Okay, so we have your scenario. So a customs bonded warehouse operator withdraws goods from the facility using an expired permit without obtaining official customs approval. So why it is considered a violation? So an expired permit has lost its legal validity. So withdrawing goods using yung invalid document means withdrawal is legally classified as unauthorized. Okay, so the legal basis of that is the Section 809, which is the withdrawal of goods. It states that the goods stored in the CBW may only be withdrawn upon finding a valid permit and securing customs or official customs clearance. And also, the Section 1422, unauthorized withdrawal from the CBW. Okay, and the consequences, the immediate penalty, an automatic 50% surcharge on top of the calculated unpaid duties and taxes, and escalating penalty if the delinquency continues unpaid beyond 1 year, and additional interest and penalty charges accumulate on the top of the original bill. Okay, so if fraud is proven, no, if the investigation proves in intentional fraud yung nangyari, such as falsifying uh, documents, no, or even altering permit dates or forging customs signatures. So the consequences escalate dramatically. For example, for the administrative, so the immediate suspension or total revocation of the operator's warehousing or license privilege. And for the criminal or civil liability, the operator faces severe prosecution under the CMTA provisions like the Section 1401 for the technical smuggling. Okay, so to summarize, customs warehousing operates within a defined legal hierarchy anchored by the CMTA or the RA 10863. Title 8, Chapter 2, Section 801 to 813 is the core statutory basis for the bonded warehouse operations. And CAO 13-2019 translates these provisions into detailed operating rules. Non-compliance carries both administrative sanctions and, in serious cases, criminal and civil liability. And lastly, understanding the legal foundations equip future customs professionals to ensure audit and advise with authority. Okay, so thank you for listening.